Good afternoon, wherever you are calling from. We are so glad you have joined us. If you can't tell, there's energy in the air. And Dr. Sachs has got a little blue on. I got a little blue going. We got a little blue green stuff to tell you about today. It's going to be fun. My name is Curt Beavers, and we're super privileged to have Dr. Tamara Sachs with us. And I've known her for a long time, but we're getting to be better buddies. And I just remember she's had such a journey with this company. And I remember her husband who had a tragic accident way back. So sorry about that. I remember Joe. He was a great guy, Tamara. And
Thank you, Curt.
she's sipping on her Luminate. She's getting charged up for us. But let's don't delay this. We just got back from Indianapolis. And it's kind of rare that JuicePlus introduces a new product. It's actually really rare. And we just did. And we didn't just tweak a flavor or add a gummy version of what we already had. We're in a new product category, totally new product category. And what we wanted to do today was there's going to be more and more stuff coming out, but I couldn't think of anybody better than Dr. Sachs just to lay out what we have. And I'll tell you what our goal today is. We want to answer some of your questions, tell you what you've got in your hands now, maybe why you should take it personally yourself. What's it going to do for you? And then we want to land this plane and end up with when you walk out in your driveway and you see your neighbor in the yard, what are you going to say to tell them about this amazing new product so they want to try it too? So let me introduce Dr. Sachs, and then I want her to tell you a little bit about herself, and then I want her to tell you kind of what started her on this journey. She's an amazing functional medicine doctor. She's got crazy degrees. She was at Mount Sinai, which is a very, very famous and reputable institution, as well as Yale. And it would be famous in everybody's minds except David Phillips and those that went to Harvard. But yeah, that's a Ford versus Chevy conversation we could have down the road. I guess the Yale and Harvard guys, they would be insulted at my Ford versus Chevy. It would be a Mercedes versus BMW comparison.
A
Uh,
World War versus a Bentley, but okay.
yeah. Oh, wow. I can't even get up there in that cloud to hang out with these guys. But she's been a primary care doctor and more recently a functional medicine doctor since 2003. And for those of you that are really concerned about your health, that's what you're looking for today is not just an MD, but you're looking for that functional medicine doctor that cares about why things happen, not just let's cut it out and keep going. It may come back again, but um, they don't think about how did you get there? Let's make sure you don't get there again. And I love that about Dr. Sachs. So, Tamara, can you just give them a little bit about your background and journey before we dive on into the new product and maybe how you got to this point with Juice Plus, and then we'll pick up where you left off.
Okay. Wow. Well, thanks for having me on, Curt. It's fun to do something with you here. And we are jazzed up from conference. At least I am very jazzed up. I think you are too. How I got here, gosh, in a nutshell, I always wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a naturopath first. I went down that path, I should say, in Europe, and I went to school for that. But then I realized that I would have more clout, more gravitas to prove that natural medicine worked, which was my goal, if I had an MD, because at the time I wanted to do research. So thinking that way as a youngster, 20 something years old, turns out I wasn't quite right, but I don't like research at all. But I'm very grateful to have gone for the MD. At the time, naturopathic schools were few and far between. Now I think naturopathic schools are amazing, and there's some really good ones that have the equivalent curriculum from medical school, but not when I was ready. So went down the medical rabbit hole and became a doctor, which kind of brainwashes you away from natural medicine for a while. So it took me a little while to find my way back to natural medicine. I was an ER doc for a while, 5 years in New Haven. That was an eye opener. And then I went into primary care. And then in 2000, I just became really disillusioned with medicine as a whole. I didn't sign up to be a unpaid drug rep. I was just handing out prescriptions to treat the side effect of the last prescription. And I was
Wow.
really not happy doing that. And 15-minute visits, you guys all know the deal, but this was 24 years ago. It was only starting, and I did not like it. So I left that world and became a functional medicine doctor, which is, as you mentioned, Curt, looking for the root cause of things and trying to prevent things and trying to treat the whole person, not just cardiology, pulmonology, GI, all separate fields. We're not. We're we're integrated. We're a holistic being, and I don't think it makes sense to treat the lungs without the heart and vice versa. So that's what I do now. And 26 years ago, somebody that I knew introduced me to JuicePlus, and I laughed and I was cynical and skeptical. And I said, "Go away. You're my college drinking buddy. What do you know about nutrition? Please just let's talk about beer instead." I was quite dismissive. She was smart enough to go to my late husband, Joe, who was much nicer always. And Joe said, I'll listen to what you got. And he listened to a cassette by Meet Your Ray, and said to me, "You should listen to this. I think you'd like it." And he was right. I did, and I loved it. And that opened me up to seeing the research, which I then promptly read all of and became engrossed in. And I've been there ever since. I'm a fan of our company because we do such incredibly high level, sophisticated research, not just how do you feel, nothing wrong with that. But I'm a molecular biologist by training. That's my first degree. So at the level of molecules to understand how things work is what attracted me to this company and still keeps me here today.
You know, I'm a dad. I'm a granddad of seven. And I mean, I did take 4 years of microbiology. Tomorrow, I took 4 years of organic chemistry, decided I didn't want to be a doctor, went to Georgia Tech and took 4 years of calculus and never used that either. But I have a little bit of school smarts, not near as much as you do, but I do in my own way. I appreciate the research. You know, I mean, I don't try to recite it or share it with everybody, but there's something about the fact that we have it that gives me that incredible security. Before we dive into the new product, I didn't prep you for this. Can you talk a little bit about, just for a second, the research that brought you on board? What is that little thing called the impact factor? What does that mean to you? That seems really significant to me.
Interesting. I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't have thought that that would be significant to a non-research kind of person. What I saw was, I was already in the field of functional medicine, so I was already into supplements and nutritional uh, uh, support, but everybody else just had, talk. It was like, this
Yeah,
should be good, like multivitamins. They've been around for 80 years. NASA invented them for our space shot, but they have no research. There's not a single study you can show me that multivitamins really help us. So the fact that this company had spent the money, gone out of their way, and it wasn't Madison Avenue glossy research, which is all I'd ever seen from a supplement
yeah.
company. I'd only ever seen three people and these fancy graphs, and it's like, this isn't research, this is marketing made to look like research. Whereas the JuicePlus, even 26 years ago, which is what I'm talking about, we had 5 published studies, which was unheard of 26 years ago. And they
Right.
were not Madison Avenue glossy studies. They were through molecular biology, what we call bioavailability studies. So they proved that the product got into the bloodstream, and that not only that, that it gets into cells and affects action. Something changes when you put JuicePlus into a body. It not only gets absorbed, which is already huge. Most products don't have that study, but
Right.
more than that, it is used by the cell to make something else happen for our health. That was eye-opening and key.
You know, and there's all these things about impact factors that I don't understand
Right,
everything, but
right.
what it does is it says we do quality research. We don't just do the Madison Avenue glossy stuff. And I just saw that we had a score of over 200, and like a pharmaceutical company says they're good if they get a 5 to an 8. So we're kind of like
Right.
up there. Yeah.
So an impact factor in a nutshell just means the quality of the publication and the quality of the journal that it's in has a certain number. And
Yeah.
we've added up all the research things that we've done and all the fancy schmancy journals that we've been published in. And we go from the usual, like you said, 10 would be amazing, but you
Yeah.
add them all up, we have 51 papers now,
Yeah.
right? 51 papers in major journals. So we have this score of over 225.
I know I caught you off guard, but I had motivation in asking you that question tomorrow because we're kind of known as the plant powders company, the fruit and veggie company. And is this new product that we're about to tell them about, is it going to replace that? Or is it kind of, can you talk about where what we have? Because I know you understand what we have. How does this fit in with where we're going? Can you talk about that just for a second?
I'd love to, because this is fun. Um, we have always been an innovative company, a very cutting edge company. 33 years ago, no one knew what a powdered produce was. They weren't making plant powders. We were the first to do that. We were the first to think about it. We were the first to develop machines and techniques and what I call food science to make it possible to lock in the nutrition of these 30 raw fruits, vegetables, and berries. And that's critical. And that will always be critical. That is my foundational product for all my patients, for me, for my whole family. That lays the base, right? 30 raw fruits, vegetables, and berries provides tons of important things that are hard to get. We can swallow a vitamin D capsule, we can get out in the sun, but it's really hard to eat 30 different. And now we know the variety, that 30 different is so key. And so the next step in the evolution was the omegas, because that's another plant sourced, really important component and nutrient. So we filled that gap of people having to eat fish and fish oil and destroying the ocean and getting more microplastics in fish oil by having a plant-based omega, which was great. Then we have the complete and the perform, which people have been a little misled by frankly the dairy industry to think that soy is not a good food. On the contrary, soy is a magical plant, a really important food source. And if you hear this negative stuff, just think for a minute. 1/3 of the world eat soy products 3 times a day from birth, and they live 12
Wow.
years longer than we do and have less cancers of all the cancers we worry about: breast, prostate, testicular, ovarian. By far, they have less. So soy can't be that bad, right? It's
Yeah.
how we make what we do with the plant. And so what JuicePlus did is they took organic non-GMO soy. I shouldn't say organic, I'm not positive about that, but non-GMO, definitely soybeans, and just barely crush them and run them in cold water and collect the protein. Minimal processing. And that's unique in the marketplace. There was no minimally processed soy protein available till us. And so now we have 2 forms of it that add even more plants. And soy is a polyphenol, which you'll hear about
Yeah.
more in a minute, I hope. But soy is an important plant for bones and for heart disease. It lowers cholesterol. It's critical. And so then we added Illuminate to our line. More plants, different plants, mushrooms now that specifically help the brain and memory and the adrenal glands for energy. So a whole different innovation. But
Yep.
what we did now was kind of tie it all together with the bow, and we couldn't have done it before because the science about the importance of the gut and the microbiome is really very new. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking 20 years, a few people knew about it, and 10 years ago, a few hundred people knew about it, and in the last 5 years, it's exploded. So we're again ahead of the curve. We're again being innovative by not just offering part of the solution, which has always been available but hasn't
Right.
worked. We're here offering another complete solution that ties in to everything we've ever done. It's not different, it's more of the same: more innovation, more plants, more health, more primary root cause benefits to help all of us be better, not just one part of us.
Okay, so we've kind of landed here, and one of the things they shared with us in India was that of all the people that take Juice Plus, and we have millions around the world, we have millions of customers, we have millions of families that get it free for their kids and research and everything. But that group was studied, and 56% of them said they took something else other than Juice Plus for their health, and almost 90% of them said if Juice Plus made it, I'd buy it from them. In the number one category, the number one most demanded, fastest growing right now is this gut health world that you and I are talking about. And I've had some crazy experiences since I had a crazy COVID experience, got on massive steroids, metabolism, blood sugar got all messed up. And I've been on this journey. I've been learning a lot, Tamara, about metabolism in your gut and your blood sugar. And so I knew this was a big deal. But you heard about people taking probiotics everywhere and maybe not prebiotics. Can you kind of talk a little bit about why we made the product we made and how is it different than what's already out there? Because Juice Plus is not going to just throw something out there. They're going to put a stake in the ground and say, we're going to be the best. I know they've already got 2 research studies underway. So tell us what we got and why it's unique.
So what we've got is something to address the whole gut microbiome health, not just one piece of it. So it turns out that you can pour probiotics, and some people have and gotten really no results or bad results. You can put a lot of probiotics in your gut, but if your gut is not in the right place, if it doesn't have the right terrain, if you will, if it's not the right pH and doesn't have the right fiber, those probiotics that you're swallowing are just going to come out the other end. It's going to go right through you. They have to. It's like a garden. Just think of it like, I think of it like a garden, right? I have to tend the soil before I plant the seeds. I expect the seeds to take root and stay and grow. And that's the same situation in the gut. So probiotics alone won't help to heal the gut, and probiotics alone need food, right? They're living creatures, they're living bacteria, they need to eat. And what they eat is plants only. They are obligate plant food eaters. They cannot eat
Wow.
meat. They eat plant fibers to get their best. They can eat anything to survive, like any animal, but they want plant fibers. And what they do with plant fibers is magical for us. We need them to do it. That's why we have this microbiome, trillions of microbes in our gut, because we need them to make all these other compounds. So just to lay a bit of a foundation, we've got prebiotics, the probiotics, which is the bacteria that many of us are familiar with buying in health food stores and
And aren't
taking
there
in
like they're
food.
like nine? They're like nine of them, right? There are nine of them in there. I think is that right? Oh,
In
nine
all
of
the
the bacteria of
Right,
the strains of
and there
bacteria. Yeah,
thousands of different
yeah,
strains. But if you don't feed them the fiber, they won't do what we want them to do, which is the third step to make postbiotics.
yeah,
So
yeah,
pre is the food, prebiotics, biotics are the probiotics, and then
yeah.
postbiotics is magic that heals us, that lowers inflammation, that does all the magic stuff that connects the gut to the rest of the body, the heart, the muscles, and a lot of the brain, right? So what we've done now is create a system where we can get the gut, the soil in a good place so that when we put those prebiotics in there, they stay and they grow and they raise a family and they're part of our microbiome. Because if we don't do both pieces, it doesn't work. You need
You know
both.
that's what I learned. I mean, you're brilliant and you know so much more than I do, and I'm very grateful you're here. I think a lot of people are just great. We'd be clapping for you if you could hear them right now. But that was the biggest thing that I took away. I'm going to try and pull some nuggets as we go of like, okay, here's some like layperson takeaways. What you need to understand is you need to understand prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic. And one of the things that I learned, Tamara, that you can kind of maybe add to if you want to, is that some of the postbiotics are doing the things you talked about. They describe our gut as our second brain, so it does all kind of stuff. But like for me, that was worried about metabolism and maybe insulin resistance and stuff. One of the things that I learned is that, and I'm going to get this is the limit of my technology, is those things in the postbiotic are like short chain fatty acids is a term that I learned. And then I learned
Mhm.
that one of those is butyrate. And I even heard Rick Du Bois talk about butyrate in the past. But butyrate in our bodies stimulates the natural production of GLP-1. And I think that's amazing.
There's actually several different ways that a healthy microbiome stimulate proper sugar metabolism, fat metabolism, lowered insulin sensitivity. It's all in the gut. All of that happens in the gut. And when people's guts are off, their sugar goes up. And when I
Yeah.
fix people's guts, their sugar goes down and they're able to maintain a healthy blood sugar, much more. The microbiome provides a lot of resilience so we can manage stress. So the occasional candy bar doesn't throw you into a
Yeah.
crazy blood sugar spiral, right? We're supposed to be resilient creatures. We've survived all these millennia, right? We have to be resilient. That's one of the things that a healthy microbiome does, both for too high blood sugars as well as too low. Some people
Levels
suffer
it
from
out.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
To get
I've
people
learned that you want the spikes to be left. You don't want these crazy spikes. You want more of a level.
right,
That's what I found
right,
out.
right.
So
And there
one
are
more thing,
specific
but
techniques for that. Yeah.
and so one of the things that I've also learned is that in order to break down the confusion, I mean, I think you would agree across the board, not just in gut health, but the consumer, if they walk into a GNC or whatever, I mean, they're massively confused. There's information overload. And I think we have to walk away from this and be able to say what makes us distinctly unique. And I think Dr. Sachs has talked about it a little bit. There was one thing that's not in our background, our picture. This is the other component, the other part. Can you see that? I don't know if it's going to focus on that or not. This is the drink part. This is the prebiotic. And then what's over here off to my right, or whatever side I'm pointing to, it's confusing in the camera. That's the probiotic. And here's what I think you need to know, and Dr. Sachs kind of back me up on this or correct me, is that what's out there in the marketplace is maybe 90% or a huge proportion is a concoction or a recommendation of a probiotic. The prebiotic is fairly new on the scene, but what's being found out, and we've got research underway. So a lot of what we're talking about is like structure, function, third party research on the gut itself, we'll have what's it called? Original research on our product coming soon. There's 2 studies going on, but we're unique because we figured out that so many people that are on probiotics, like Dr. Sachs said, are not getting the results they wanted. And it's the prebiotic with the probiotic that's making the difference. Is that how can we tell the consumer that the person next door, Dr. Sachs, how can we explain to them our uniqueness? I think that's so important.
Taking probiotics without feeding them, it doesn't work. You can't expect a bug to stay in your gut and give you health benefits if you're not feeding it right. It's only when we have the variety of microbiome, they require a variety of plants. Some microbiome bugs like to eat carrots and some don't. Some like
Yep.
beets and some don't. And we need that variety of food to give us the variety of the healthy microbiome, which in turn gives us this variety of these things called postbiotics, like you mentioned, butyrate.
Yep.
There's so many, there's hundreds, and they help
Yep.
heal our brain, heal our livers, heal our all over. So if you don't feed these probiotics the right food, so fiber supplements out there have generally been formulated for constipation and just for
Yep.
bulking up. They've not been formulated like this one is. This is uniquely formulated to feed only the really good bugs. I hate to say good and bad bugs. That's not the way it is, but there are more beneficial bacteria in the microbiome, and there's some microbes that we don't want. We only have to have them in a little tiny amount, but when they overgrow, they cause bloating and problems. So what we're doing is we're giving the right bugs the right food and
Hmm.
then providing more of the right bugs as we have more food so that they take over. They start to raise a family in our gut and push out the bad guys and start to create an environment of a healthy gut. Gut is the number one complaint and problem and drug sales in this country is gut.
Wow.
Pepto-Bismol, antacids, Pepcid, Prilosec, they are the
Crohn's
number
disease. Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yep, they are. I mean, not even that, just run-of-the-mill heartburn, right?
Yep.
Everybody almost has a gut complaint, whether it's you name it, right? Bloating, heartburn. People don't even think that heartburn's a disease anymore. It's become so normalized. Well, it's not. It's not normal. And so so many people have gut problems from one end to the other, minor to major. This product is really going to help a lot of people because this is what we've been missing to help heal our guts is the food for the right bugs plus the right bugs.
You know, the redneck in me's just come out with an illustration I think everybody can understand. So I was on my tractor last week getting my food plots ready for the deer. And I just connected the dots. So I had to plant this food in the ground, but the soil guy comes out and he tests the soil and he says, if you plant right now, you don't have the right lime and fertilizer and things in the soil, it's not going to grow good. So, and if I wanted the healthy crops for my deer to eat this year, I had to treat the soil so that I could have the good crops. Or all my effort and time plowing the fields, doing all this stuff was going to go to waste. I
Yep.
put the food there, but the food couldn't survive. And
Right.
that's easy to understand. I mean, that's not hard to understand. So,
Yep.
are there a couple questions as we dive into this? And guys, this is available today at juiceplus.com. You can order this. This is the first day it's ever been available. It's a breakthrough in gut health, building your microbiome. I like taking care of my second brain. I love talking about that. So, there's something called what is CFU? Is it colonies? What does that stand for, Tamara?
Colony forming units. So the number
Co-
of colonies of the bug that will form, that
okay,
will
so
grow.
colony forming units is the term they use to measure how many colonies of this bacteria is in place. Okay, I guess is the right
Yep.
way to say it. So Juice Plus made a decision tomorrow to have 20 billion, which sounds like a lot, but there are other products out there with 100 billion and 200 billion. And if I know Juice Plus, I don't know how to explain this, but if I know Juice Plus, they chose specific ones instead of just trying to herd cattle. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. And some products have 3 billion. So it's a mid-range kind of product. But you know, last spring I bought these seeds, kind of like your analogy, but I bought from Eden Seeds these big bags of wildflower mix seeds. And at one point early in spring, I had this nice plot of clean soil and I spread them out and they grew great. And then I got lazy and it was late and whatever, it happens.
Yep.
And I just took
Yep.
the rest of the bag and just threw it all over, all over, all over. So 5,000 seeds over here, 30 seeds over here. These grew, these didn't, right?
Huh.
The soil
Yeah.
wasn't prepped. I wasted those seeds. And that's what 200 billion probiotics do in a gut that's inflamed and upset and doesn't have the right bugs. They're just throwing seeds on soil that cannot handle them, that is going to get washed, literally washed out. Where's the right number of seeds on the right? You get the idea. I don't need to belabor the
Yeah,
point. I
so
think you
it's
get it.
really it's really an efficiency thing. You don't need to waste your effort on a zillion if you do it right and prepare the soil. If you put the right amount in the healthy soil, then you
Yeah.
get this, you get the same or better results than you would of scattering 200 billion or whatever. Okay, that's good.
And the right bud. But to be clear, if I had put the wrong seeds, if I had put
Yep.
asparagus seeds, something like that, right, as opposed to marigold seeds, nothing would have happened, right? So it's the right seeds in the right place and feeding them right. That's what we've
Okay.
done.
So there's science behind the strategy, guys. Is what we're saying. We didn't, even though there's hundreds of billions. Do you need hundreds of billions? It's kind of like, I remember somebody telling me, you're getting the vitamin C of eating 28 oranges a week when you're taking Juice Plus. Somebody might try to give you a 10,000 milligram ascorbic acid supplement, but you're not getting all that vitamin C in your blood. It's going to waste. You got to use it right and be efficient with it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think say more is not better.
yeah. I tell my son that too. He's an entrepreneur and he's thinking about growing his business. I said, this is the bottom line. Bigger is not always better, you know? All right,
Yeah.
so we have a couple things that people are massively concerned about, or at least they think they are. You know, you got, as we're growing things, they want to know about, is it organic and all these kind of questions. One of the big buzzes, especially with gut today, Tamara, is gluten.
Yeah.
And this product is gluten free, but it also says it has a wheat fiber in it. Can you
Correct.
kind of like, seems like an oxymoron to some people. Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure, I'd love to. And there's a good reason for it, or we wouldn't have done it. Because we knew it was going to stir up a couple of questions here. So wheat is a big thing, and gluten is part of wheat. And I don't like gluten either. My office, my practice is gluten-free, dairy-free for all my gut patients. That's an absolute. So if this had gluten in it, I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't have promoted it. I wouldn't have been on stage about it. I wouldn't be here talking to you about it. The miracle of modern science, right? Food science is amazing. We've been able to do a lot of things with food science over the years, and this is one new one that we can separate the gluten from the wheat fiber, because the wheat fiber has these very particular benefits that are just not available in rice fiber or any other kind of fiber. This particular part of the wheat fiber without the gluten does not cause bloating, does not cause gas problems, does not cause all the things that some other probiotic or problem or fibers out there do. And it's incredibly beneficial for the right bugs. So it's the right food for the good bugs, and it doesn't cause any of the side effects that other kinds of fibers that good bugs might prefer or like to eat as much. That's why they picked it. It is certified gluten-free. It will, if it doesn't already, have the Celiac Association certification. They are very strict. If anyone here has celiac, you know that if the Celiac Association says it's okay, it's okay. And so we will have that shortly. I don't know which batch, but it's
Yeah.
already been done. Same with NSF. NSF is always our certifier. NSF runs spectrophotometry on 360 something different toxins, including all the heavy metals, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides. All of our products are NSF certified. And NSF laughs at us because we've already checked it 10 times before we hand it off to NSF. We already know it's clean, but the company is really a bit obsessed, I will say, with quality assurance, which I am very grateful for. But they have tested every single part of the manufacturing, every step of the way. And then they hand it off to NSF, which is an independent third party, non for profit certifier that the Army uses, your hospitals use NSF, your CT scanners are certified by NSF, our atomic submarines are certified by NSF, and your local grocery store also certifies NSF for his refrigerators. So it's a huge deal to have NSF tell us that we're good, and they always have, and they will again.
You know, with all the crazy fraud in the world, I didn't understand everything you just said, but just knowing that it certifies that what we say is in the product is actually what is in the product, that's
There you
what
go.
means. That's what, and that's what means so much to me. That, you know,
And it's
because
clean. It's
it's
clean.
clean. Yeah,
It's even
yeah,
cleaner than organic, because organic isn't tested the way that we test these products. So
yeah. And with the clones and frauds that come from China and other places, it's nice to know that, you know, if it doesn't have that seal, I'd be careful. It's amazing to me. This is a whole nother sidebar, but what people will put in their mouth without making sure they know what it is, that blows my mind sometimes. They'll see an ad on TV and like think it's the next greatest thing since sliced bread, and they'll order it, put it in their mouth, and there's no research on it. Absolutely blows my mind.
Yep, I
Um,
agree.
so a couple more questions and we're going to land this ship here, Dr. Sachs. We do have two products. There's a prebiotic and a probiotic. One is a drink, one is a capsule. So I want to talk about these two blends, but my first question is, I think the company did something unique, not just with the probiotic, but there's something unique about the capsule, right?
Yeah, the capsule is acid resistant. And so it gets through the stomach into the colon before it's released, where we want these particular microbes. And that's why there's two different products. You can't put the bugs and their food together, or they'll eat the food before it gets to where we want it to go. So
It'd be
you
like
can
bring.
take Yeah,
Go ahead.
you can take these two anytime you want. They don't have to be taken at the same time. You can take morning and night. It doesn't matter. It's a big system, but you want to
Yeah.
give the food and the bugs at some point, whether it's together or separate, it really makes no difference. But the food, we want it in water so that it gets dispersed really well all
Yeah.
throughout the gut to feed everybody. And then the capsule will allow the good probiotics to get to where they need to go.
I mean, that was just an attention to detail that if you look at a lot of other companies, they just wouldn't do that. That was just something our company did that was another attention to detail. So we have two products. You've explained them amazingly well. Talk about the consumer. They're excited. They've got this new product in their hands. They want to have a healthy gut. They're ready. Do they take them together? Do they take them
Yep.
separate, with food, without food? What time of day? Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yes to all of the above. It really
Okay.
doesn't matter. It's a very forgiving product. It's food, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how you take them, when you take them, as long as you take them. And
Yeah.
I would really encourage people to take them together. As always, people are, variable in their gut issues. If you have a relatively okay gut, but just a few little problems here and there, just start. If you have Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, if you've had a colostomy, blah, 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 if you're really sick, start slow. Like
Yeah.
always, just start with a third of the fiber, and the capsules won't matter. We've all been on probiotics before, so it's the fiber that you might, might have a little problem with if you're already very sick. Otherwise, everybody's going to do great with this. It's an easy product to take, and and I think you might actually feel benefits sooner than some of our other products, right? Plus essentials, we don't always feel it. We're feeding ourselves, but this is different. We feel our microbiome. Our gut intuition tells us when our microbiome is better or worse.
Yeah. Thank you. Because I think people are concerned about that. They want to have them take it exactly the right time. Isn't it a relief that it's okay? You don't have to be perfect and take it at 8 a.m., 30 minutes before you drink your first water and 30 minutes after you put your feet on the ground. It's food, just like our other Juice Plus products. It's a food. It's not a stimulant or something. So I have 3 kids and 7 grandkids. So this question is important to me because Dr. Sachs, I want my kids to have a healthy gut too, the little guys, In this
Yeah.
box that I got, it says not recommended for children on it. Is that correct?
No, that was just a
No.
printing error, not an error, but when if we were hurrying to get it out, and that's just kind of the standard on a new product. And they didn't marketing didn't realize it was not necessary. So it's going to be gone. It was never supposed to be there. This product is safe for every age. If you're eating food, meaning if you're young enough, if you're old enough to eat real food, you can take Juice Plus and you can take Biomed as well.
Yeah, and you've been so generous with your time. I want to share just for a second, and then we'll let you kind of wrap up with a comment as the doctor why you would recommend this. But if you'll think about that, because I'd like for you to answer that question, why you would recommend it. But I'm 62, and I'm not on any kind of medication for sugar or diabetes or anything. But when I was on that journey coming off of the steroids and getting the insulin resistance and stuff that I had to work through in my own body and learning about the amount of foods and proteins and exercise and all the things I needed to make it work. I was using a glucose monitor that helped me, track that. And I got so intrigued when my insurance would no longer pay for it and I wasn't diagnosed to need it and wasn't on any medication. I was real proud of myself that I went through that journey and I got back to being a normal human. And I got addicted to having that glucose monitor because I love to see how what I ate affected, sugar levels, metabolism. And I know this is not a research study and it's not scientific, but I signed an NDA and got to be on the product like 4 weeks before the release. And I actually could see some benefit. You said, you might see some benefit fairly quick. Not in this is nothing curing, but just leveling of the spikes. When you eat certain things, it's going to make it go up, or you don't eat for too long a period of time, your sugar levels can go down. But I was really excited because one of the reasons that I did some intermittent fasting, it was you're trying to get a level, and your body works easier and more efficiently when it's at a level versus spiking up and down. And so I saw some benefits. And just why, and I'm not saying everybody needs to go get a glucose monitor, but I'm excited about what it's going to do for the world, because I think there's the metabolism crisis is huge in our. I mean, metabolism is a big deal, big industry from everything you said before. So I'm excited about that. I've seen real personal results, and I can't wait to see other people's results too. But if you were speaking to a patient and they said, Dr. Sachs, should I start doing anything to work on my gut, my microbiome? And what do you think about this super-biome from JuicePlus? What would you tell your patient?
I would say you read my mind. In the world of natural medicine, naturopathy, now then functional medicine, we've always been talking about the gut being the seat of everything. Hippocrates and so on. Everybody has always known that the gut is really important in our overall health. And if you think about it, our language does, right? Our emotions are in our gut. Our gut are sensory organs that tells the brain what's going on in the world. Nothing could be more important than the gut for you name it: diabetes, brain health, heart disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. The list goes on. Autism is even in the mix now. All sorts of different brain issues are all being looked at. So this is a revolution in the field of medicine and science. 30 years ago, if you'd said we should look at the gut for schizophrenia and look for the root cause, they would have laughed you out of the building. Now that's actually being done. So it's a complete revolution in the way that researchers in medicine are looking at health, and that everything seems to start at the microbiome and the gut. Our immune system is there. Our neurotransmitters are all made there. Nitric oxide for blood flow is made there. We detox there, right? And
Yeah,
so 20 years ago, no one knew all of this. Um, and well, a few people did, but most people didn't. So this is the revolution. So now we know that if we heal the gut, we have way less work to do everywhere else. There's way less work to do about blood sugars and cholesterol and memory loss and brain fog. If the gut is healthy, everything else is easier to fix. So this is now really should be and always should have been the focus of health. Very few people in this country have a healthy gut
yeah,
because our food is just our food, right? So I think that this is a product really like I think our essential capsules or our superfood also is it's a product for everybody. Um, does everybody need to take it every day forever? Hopefully not. The idea is to heal the gut and then you'd have a maintenance kind of lower dose. But I would think that we're in it for the long haul to get to that point. And since there's only benefit to be had, I can't think of a contraindication as to why someone wouldn't start doing both. Let's be fair. No product is going to overcome a pizza, Cheetos, Diet Coke diet, right? We're not
yeah,
talking about that. We're talking about someone who's trying to do better, who's succeeding some days and not every day, like most of us, right?
yeah,
We're trying to eat more salads and more vegetables and more variety, eat less junk and processed food. And that's what this is going to help us do. Because just one last thing to close on, a lot of times when we have cravings, especially sugar cravings, it's a really long, interesting question that we don't have time for, but who is craving it? Because there are
oh yeah,
certain bugs in the microbiome who want sugar constantly, and they will tell you that. Yeast will tell you that. And you will crave sugar, not because you want sugar, but because they want sugar. And so when you fix them, it actually becomes easier to eat healthier. When you get rid of the bad bugs that make you crave bad foods, you don't have such a hard time. And so it's just another reason to get on this kind of one step at a time, one small step forward, help your nutrition with the essentials and the superfoods, help your gut process that nutrition better, etc. Add the luminate, add the omegas. I think that together they form an incredible, all of them support the gut. We didn't know that 30 years ago
right,
when we made you,
right.
right? It turns out every single one of our products helps the microbiome and the brain connection. And so I think it's an important addition, and I think we're again cutting edge, innovative, at the very forefront of this. It's going to be an explosion in the marketplace. You're
Yeah.
going to see in 10 years, we're going to look back on this talk and be like, wow, we really were ahead of the game.
Thank you so much. I want to have another talk about how our gut affects our taste buds and our sugar cravings. That's amazing. I mean, that by itself could be a game changer if you think about it. I mean, the obesity epidemic in our country with our kids and stuff, the sugar cravings
Yeah,
is nuts.
yeah, it is. It
But
is.
I want to take 1 minute, and I want
Yep.
to connect with the majority of you on here. If Curt was walking out his front door and ran into his neighbor, and I'm buzzing. I'm on cloud nine about this new Super-biome. I'm buzzing about my family getting it. My whole family's ordered it. I'm buzzing about sharing it and it being a tool as part of our message of inspiring healthy living around the world. How do I introduce this product into the marketplace? I think I'd say a few things. We can't say eloquently and intelligently everything Dr. Sachs said, but what I wanted her to do was build your belief. That was my goal, and her goal was that you got off this call to where your belief in this new product was so high, you could not want to share it with somebody. You'd feel like you were doing them a disservice if you didn't share it. So what do you say? I mean, here's some buzzwords that I'm using, okay? I just went to this conference and I just started taking something, and I'm convinced that my stomach, my gut is my second brain with all that it controls in my body. You got to give this a try for 4 months. And I think they're going to see a difference. Or somebody who suffers with some gut issues and they struggle, or maybe you've seen them, like you go out to eat with them and they're always shoveling in yogurt to get their probiotics or kombucha or keep is it kefir or kefir? I forgot how you say it. But they're grabbing stuff because they're trying to fill the probiotics. Have you ever tried to get probiotics in your body and you just didn't see the results? I know why now. Because they're starving to death because they don't have the right food and they can't survive. Our company's changed the game. We've got a prebiotic and a probiotic. Or maybe if you're like me, I'm around lots of people that have, over the last couple of years, they've used some of these diet methods, and I think they're called semi-glutides or something like that, where they're taking, I know a lot of people that are doing that around us, and you can say they look great. Some of them lost 50, 100 pounds, and they're proud of it, and it's great. Their labs are looking better, so it's a good thing to get that weight off. But a lot of them didn't think they were getting on that product to be on it forever. That's what I'm hearing them say. They want to get off. And again, we don't have the research. We're not making any claims, but I can see that a healthy gut can naturally produce the peptides that they're getting, and maybe over time we can deliver that healthy gut naturally. I'm excited about that. There's things I'm super excited about. So I want you to leave here with this thought. Number one, you need to get it yourself. If you weren't in Indy and didn't walk home with some in your bag, go to juiceplus.com, go to your website, get JuicePlus Super-biome for you today. Try it for 4 months. Give it a shot. Like Dr. Sachs said, you should see some difference fairly quickly with this product. It's an amazing product. And then I'd love to hear back from you. We want some feedback. And then who do you know that could benefit from Super-biome? Make you a list. If you had a cure or a benefit or a help for a certain thing somebody was going through health wise, and you had it in your hand, wouldn't you share it? And that's my thought. Wouldn't you share it? So we want you to do that. But we have been on here for about 45 minutes. I told Dr. Sachs 30 minutes. She gave us 45. We were just blessed to have her on here. She's busy. She's a crazy, unbelievably successful doctor. Not crazy was a bad word. I mean, crazy in a good way, Dr. Sachs. You're not crazy. But we're just glad to have her on here. I got to give her a hug at conference this week, and we'll have more coming. Oh, I do need to announce one thing. Tomorrow night and I think Hope or Trey can post in the chat. Tomorrow night, the company is having a company-wide launch call about this product. Are you going to be on that tomorrow night, Dr. Sachs? Are they going? Yeah. So there'll be a meta. Can you give us a little detail about what's going to happen tomorrow night? Do you know?
Nope.
No. Okay. Yeah, it's a secret. Just be there. So I'm sure they're going to the panels and things we had at conference are going to be repeated for you. It was amazing, the information we got. You'll have pediatricians and functional medicine doctors and sports medicine doctors and ER doctors and all kind of physicians from different angles. PhD from Stanford, as well as the doctor who helped research and develop the product. Dr. Sook and Dr. Hitesh will be on there. So you don't want to miss that tomorrow night. And if you don't have that information, it's on boards. It's on your boards app for JuicePlus. So thank you. God bless. Let's all go have build a healthy gut together. Dr. Sachs, go ahead.
You made me think of something. I just want to mention. Just want to mention
Yeah.
one thing. We talked about people. When I talked about how people might feel this sooner than they think, I should have specified. I don't just mean the gut. People
Yeah.
might feel less brain fog, more memory, lighter, less depression, less anxiety. Right. That's maybe the first thing people will notice. And unless they're cued in that it's because their gut is better, they may not realize. Right.
Well,
So
you said
large.
you said immune function. That's hard to measure, but with flu season coming up, why wouldn't you do anything to build your immune system up just for that
Good
reason,
point.
nothing else?
Good point.
Yeah.
So other things besides the gut might be what happens first, second, and third, just
Yeah.
so people are aware to ask those questions as well when they're following up.
All right.
That's all.
Dr. Sachs, thank you for being here with us, being our guest. And guys, thanks for joining us in the middle of a busy Monday. Got 300 people on here. Thanks for joining us. So God bless. Have a great day. And make sure you tune in tomorrow night and order your Super-biome, or you won't get the benefits of this. The sooner the better. See you later. Bye-bye.